2017. Oh boy, what a year. That's certainly true for yield politics, but I'm obviously referring to video games. I've lost track of the amount of good stuff that came out in the last 12 months, and just listing them off would be tacky, so you can research that yourself. All I know is, I've sunk in almost, if not over, 200 hours into Breath of the Wild, and it's easily one of my favorite games of all time, so yeah, I'm confident in saying that this was a good year. And as for video game controversy, well, there was just about as much as there was last year, although they were a bit more interesting, which makes all the difference. I've already covered a few of them, but I wanted to go over the ones that I didn't cover, and there's plenty of them. Some I'll go a bit deep into, describing the whats and hows and whys, and some I'll just throw out some random shit and hope that'll suffice. Which it won't, but who cares. So, with that preamble out of the way, it's time for you to gaze upon my insight and take a look at some of the biggest gaming controversies of 2017 that I missed. And what better way to start than with one of the more overall disappointing games that came out last year. The Mass Effect series certainly isn't new to controversy, see this cringe fest for that if you can handle it. But when the super hyped Mass Effect Andromeda arrived earlier this spring, it even made my head turn. Compared to how much people loved the first three games, Andromeda got absolutely slammed. The initial launch was especially nasty. I mean, have you seen this shit? It's not pretty. And no amount of patches could fix what people saw as its core issues, mainly the story and overall game structure. I won't divulge the entirety of what transpired because that would be a video in and of itself, but let's just say the development of the game was very, very, very troubled. It took 5 years for Andromeda to get its fat head into the gaming market, but the actual development took approximately 18 months. The rest of the time was spent on deciding what exactly the game was going to be. Nothing new for game development, but this was a tricky case. The original trilogy wrapped things up pretty well. Okay, not really, but it wrapped things up in general, so where the hell could the series go from here? It took quite a long time before the development team agreed on a permanent path, but the stumbles were just beginning. Eventually, it was decided upon that Andromeda would be an open-world style RPG, and throughout development, the team experienced countless issues, much of them revolving around implementing the Frostbite 3 engine into the game. Sure, you can make the game look very pretty with the engine, but everything else, from animations to basic RPG functions and game area sizes and even saving, had to be made from scratch, and that was a struggle for many involved. A lot of folks jumped ship during the strenuous work period, especially those in the animation department, which would explain this. And by release, it was clear the game just wasn't going to hold up well on its own. The game sold decently, but hardly to the standards that the publisher, Electronic Arts, was expecting. And speaking of expectations, you probably expected me to blame Big Daddy EA for this whole thing. The fellows who've had one of the worst years for any AAA publisher. But to be honest, their involvement in how this game turned out is minuscule at best. The biggest thing they can be accused of is giving BioWare a hefty budget and setting expectations too high, thus creating an unhealthy, cramped, stress-inducing work environment, but they do that with every game of theirs, so why bother mentioning it? The development cycle for Andromeda is very interesting regardless, and despite how it turned out, it's a good way to teach people how to either avoid potential troubles for development, or brace yourself for those troubles and work with what you have to make the best product possible. Isn't game development a wonderful thing? I can't wait to put my fat head into that stuff, as well as the hard concrete pavement when I jump out my 5th floor office window. So this is a satirical fighting game where all kinds of deities go 1v1 against each other. One of the characters added in via DLC was... And some folks in Malaysia found this so offensive they blocked any and all access to Steam within the country. You know, if the Messiah came down to me at this very moment and told me that himself, I still wouldn't believe him. This is one of those controversies that I love to see. It's just so random that no one would expect it, and it's so ridiculous you can't help but laugh. True, it is a reminder that we still have a long way to go towards acceptance of certain things in video games despite how far we've come over the past few decades. But this was still a nice break from those more complex and even more inane shit modern game controversies have become. Speaking of which... Yeah, I would have played some of the music by them, but that's just too obvious. So I've been asked a few times to cover this one. From the outside, it looked like an ongoing feud between one music maker and several YouTubers, and immediately gave me flashbacks to a certain feud I said I would never bring up again in this show. However, the comparisons there aren't too vast, because I'd argue the perpetrator here is even more unstable and batshit loco than the previous perpetrator. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Once again, this is something that kinda deserves a video all on its own, so I'll just give the short details. Alex Maurer is a freelance musician who made the soundtrack for a game called Star Mazer back in 2016. The tracks she made were based on a work-for-hire contract from the developers, I'm a Ghost Software, which essentially means that they get the rights to the music while the freelancer doesn't. Let me just make sure. Work for hire. Work subject to copyright that is created by an employee as part of his job. Hire not created by hires control the employer, not the employer is considered the legal author. There we go. Okay. Don't want to get these terms confused and piss someone off. However, Maurer had been faced with several unknown health issues during the work process, and more peculiarly, was arrested for various minor charges and given a year's worth of probation during that year. This resulted in the contract between Maurer and Amigos being completely broken, and the devs paid for and kept whatever Maurer had made up to that point. Maurer then spent the next year or so going on a fucking rampage all over the internet, filing multiple DMCs against YouTube videos with their music in it, trying to get more money out of despite the above, telling many contradicting storylines on Twitter that changed on a seemingly daily basis, threatening YouTube channels on multiple occasions, threatening legal action on multiple occasions, threatening lives on multiple occasions, and most of all, attempting to screw anyone over that was trying to help her out of this dire situation that she seems to have created solely for the purpose of screwing everyone over just because she didn't get paid enough money after her contract broke when she got arrested. Oh yeah, and she also and lost after not showing up at a crucial hearing. Bit of an anticlimactic resolution, but at least we didn't have to bear witness to any more inflation fetish profile pics within court documents. If you couldn't tell, I fully believe that Ms. Maurer was in the wrong here. It's also clear that she seems very mentally disturbed, as at one point she involuntarily participated in a psychiatric evaluation, one that didn't last very long and didn't help at all. I don't know, this whole situation is more baffling to me than it is anger-inducing. It's just one bad decision after another, like making a vlog featuring a suicide victim and then monetizing the apology video. It's quite the jaw-dropping tale, and it seems that, for now at least, it's been resolved. Then again, there was a lot of shit that happened. Maybe I'm not being as harsh as I should be. Let's go to Locale Wiki and see if they can give me something. Oh, yep, there we go. That's exactly what I needed. Thanks, fellas. You're the best cancer on the internet. You're so Come on, pick up, man. Hello, Mr. Player Unknown? Yes, I would just like to say, congratulations on your 3 million concurrent player achievement with the game. Yeah, of course, I've sunk in like 100+ hours of it on Steam, even though it runs like shit. Oh, sorry, just talking to myself. I'd also like to ask if you think that, Fortnite is still a big competitor/threat now that, well, you have this accolade in tow, as well as a lot of fucking money. Oh, sorry, force of habit. Oh, you do? Really? Oh, that's interesting. I thought as the sole man who created the Battle Royale genre, you wouldn't feel threatened by anything. Oh, okay, I see. Well, just a small piece of advice. Perhaps you and your development team, or whoever runs the show, should maybe, probably, most likely, definitely focus their time on making the game run better rather than bitching about clones that put a dust mite-sized dent into your fortune. Get over yourself and get back to work, you egotistical jackass! Okay, got that off the list. Now to call Kotaro and whine about Zero Time Dilemma's ending again. Fuck you, I won't do what you tell me! Fuck you, I won't! Yes, another one of the biggest games from last year, one of the biggest RPGs from last year, called one of the best games of all time by some, is Persona 5, and fuck you if you know what I'm talking about. Fucking bitch. You don't even know how to date! But it wouldn't be on this list if it didn't attract controversy, which it did. I could focus on the game's somewhat poor English localization, especially with how it portrays LGBT folks, which Atlas isn't the best at doing, but I don't feel like opening that can of Campbell worms today. Instead, let's zero in on people potentially getting their shit ruined. Around the time of the release of the game in every region besides Japan, Atlas posted a little warning for any streamers or content creators playing P5. The notice stated that they could show pretty much anything in the game, except major plot points and spoilers. And they also can't show anything past a certain in-game date either. If the player does so, they risk getting their channel fucked over by the ban hammer. Huh, so it seems like Atlas is siding with the people on the internet who get easily upset over spoilers. Like for instance, if I told you all that in The Last Jedi, Luke Skywalker, there's most likely someone watching who would immediately put out a hit on me. However, there's a lot of factors I don't think Atlas considered in making this decision. Like say, well, I don't know, the many people out there who don't have access to the game and want to see it in its entirety regardless of spoilers? This is such an odd decision, especially when you get into the nitty-gritty and see what exactly qualifies as things you can and can't show. Besides, anyone with the game would have been too busy playing it to see any spoilers, and anyone who didn't want to see spoilers had various means to avoiding them. Also, I need to remind you that this is the internet and spoilers will come out one way or another, so why bother even trying to protect these people from spoilers in the first place? Okay, sure, let's say there needed to be some protection from spoilers. Even so, Big Mommy Atlas didn't need to step in with these kinds of guidelines. It's much more inconvenient than it is helpful. And when they got caught up in the instant backlash to this, they thankfully relinquished on these rules. Kind of. From what I can glean, they got rid of the specifics of what can and can't be shown, and extended the in-game date that players couldn't show footage past, which according to them was near the end of the game. Okay, that's all fine and dandy, but if you're gonna do that, then why not just get rid of these rules altogether? In any case, again, this is the internet, so there are many streamers and content creators that defied these rules and did whatever the hell they wanted. And from what I could tell, there weren't any incidents that resulted from Atlas's guidelines. And if there were, don't bother telling me because I stopped caring about this 5 seconds ago. What the fuck is a persona anyway? Is that like a sex thing? I bet if someone modded furries into the game, you'd call it Fursona 5, am I right? I'm only human. Alright fellas, if you thought Fight of Gods made for a funny controversy, this next one wants you to hold it to beer. This is a mess. Detroit Become Human, hey fuck you, I already am, is the latest title from self-proclaimed autist, I mean auteur, David Cage, in which you get to play a bunch of androids and wonder whether or not they can be human too. Oh my god, that kind of plot's never used. This guy's a fucking genius. To be fair, what we've seen so far has been pretty interesting, but there was one peculiar scene that some people took issue with. One of the trailers portrays a situation the player will find themselves in when playing the game. They'll be an android caretaker of a girl and father. The father in question, though, isn't the kind that would be winning any Father of the Year trophies anytime soon. Daddy's very mad! He's a mess. Yes, you see what I mean. He didn't even bother clearing the kitchen table. That's just fucking rude, man. This kind of scenario isn't exactly new for a video game. There's even one that came out this past year that had these themes. No spoilers here. But it's still rare to see a game put this situation straight in our face. Still, given how much stuff we've come to accept and tolerate in video games, except deities fighting each other apparently, it'd be easy to assume that this would be accepted as well. I mean, flipping out over this kind of stuff sounds like something out of the 90s. No one would be dumb enough to try and pull that kind of shit, right? Yes indeed, no siree, nothing here for you to see, except they did. I told a fib because they had no fucks to give. The always reliant British tabloids, the Daily Mail and The Sun, put up articles about the scene, and being the misinformed, misleading, misbehaving publications they are, denounced it, Cage, and Sony for even the thought of it. Government officials and lobbyists chimed in as well, some going as far to say that Sony should pull the game out from market. Unfortunately, these lovely fellows and great representers of the glorious Red Boys homeland seem to have skimped out on some details, and their arguments give off the impression that you are performing the abuse and not a clearly antagonistic NPC. The most peculiar quote was as follows: "It is completely wrong for domestic violence to be part of a video game regardless of what the motivation is. Domestic violence is not a game and this simply trivializes it. I worry that people who play this who themselves have suffered abuse will use this game to shape the..." See, this is why I hire other people to do the accents. Now, apologies to whomever put out these string of words, but you're a fucking moron. Context is everything, and while I've already said this, it should be stressed that you play as the android caretaker and not the bastard father. And this portrayal of child abuse is extremely negative, part of the narrative, and not even close to being trivialized. True, your actions may determine whether or not the child survives by the end of the scene, but you are not the one who instigated the abuse of said child. Jeez, I'm surprised these folks didn't pick up on that Daddy of the Year game that was on Steam Greenlight a few years back. That thing actually does put you in the role of a child abuser, even though it was meant to be tongue-in-cheek. Yes, tongue-in-cheek indeed. Very nice. Yes, quite. Yes, nice, perfect.
Is a mess.
This outcry, in giant quotations, was met with laughter and ridicule by the gaming community at large, and Mr. Cage strongly defended these thematic choices. This shit played out in such an obvious way, but it's so unbelievably dumb it's hard to not snicker at it. But even though this whole scenario shouldn't be taken seriously at all, it's at least nice to see someone sticking up for their art when it matters. But whether or not his little child, I mean the game, not the abused one, will end up being his ultimate creation remains to be seen. I think it's only fair to bunch these two together, like taking one form of cancer and combining it with another form of cancer to make a new ultra-destructive form of cancer that could kill everything in sight. The reason I've done so is very simple. They both contain and were ruined by the biggest cancer of the year, for video games at least, loot boxes. You know, those randomized crates you can open or pay to get a key to open and get shitty cosmetic items, or worse, actually useful stuff that you would otherwise need to spend 50 hours to get in-game. My two favorite multiplayer games at the moment have them, and I sure as hell wasn't going to get them in a way that cost me more money. This stuff has been around for quite some time now, and has always been a problem in my eyes, because how they're implemented essentially makes them randomized microtransactions, and that randomized aspect can be so intense at points it may as well be considered a form of gambling. Free games can use them as much as they want, but $60 games using it are just indicative of how far some companies are willing to go in order to please their investors. Isn't capitalism the shining achievement of humanity? Anyway, let's discuss Shadow of War first, since it's the lesser of two evils, and even that's a stretch. This is the sequel to Shadow of Mordor from 2014, which to my knowledge is a pretty damn good game because of its innovative nemesis system, where the game categorizes certain enemies and triggers a variety of situations and structural shifts based on how you interact with them. That's probably the most banal description I could have given it, but explaining how it works in detail would take far too long. Well, Shadow of War also has the Nemesis system, but the devs seem to have tweaked it in order to support implementation of the aforementioned loot boxes / microtransactions. Much of this can be found within the in-game shop, where players can purchase additional support or abilities and get items through such. You can use in-game money, but if you think getting the amount you need to get anything from the store will be easy peasy, prepare to slog. In fact, prepare to slog real hard if you want to get to the end of the game without taking the easy way out. Learning this ruined any small interest in the game I had, but considering sales are well past the million mark, that probably doesn't matter much. There was also something about some guy on the dev team passing away during development, and Warner Brothers, the game's publisher, profiting off DLC that was made in the fella's honor despite donating most of the proceeds to charity anyway, but we're talking loot boxes here. If they donated loot boxes to charity, then we would have a problem. So Shadow of War stepped up to the plate and struck out instantly, so of course it's up to Battlefront 2 to spectacularly lose the entire ballgame in one swing. As I've said, Electronic Arts have not had a good year, and this here is the reason why. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is the sequel to the 2015 Battlefront reboot, repurposed as an online-only multiplayer FPS with a subpar single-player campaign. You could say it was subpar because the development team didn't try hard enough, but I suspect EA made it that way so they could push their "no one likes single-player games anymore and fuck you if you disagree" narrative. Being EA, they of course had to cash in on the loot box craze, but the way they did may have killed the practice altogether. While Shadow of War's loot box / microtransaction system was designed to give players advantages for its single-player campaign, Battlefront 2's loot box / microtransaction system was designed to give players advantages for its online multiplayer campaign. And if players want to get something in-game without paying for it, like, say, one of the most iconic, recognizable, and representable characters in the entire Star Wars franchise, it could take upwards of 40 fucking hours to rake up that much in-game cash. There was a small upside to that, though, because the system was exploitative as hell. You could easily farm points by rubber banding your controller and leaving it there while you go play something more interesting. God, that's the kind of thing I used to do when I was hatching Pokemon X and Pokemon Y. Except I use a coin. But it doesn't stop there. EA tried to defend these choices in gameplay during a Reddit AMA, where they were roasted alive to a burnt crisp and now hold the record for the most downvoted comment in site history. Though that's nothing compared to the attention they attracted from legislators. Lawmakers from across the world, including Belgium, Singapore, Australia, China, our fucked country, and South Korea, announced that they would be investigating this kind of system in this and other games to see whether or not they could constitute as unlicensed gambling. Jesus Christ, EA. You're not Jesus. If you fellas thought you could get away with something of this magnitude, then Team Martin, Pro Syndicate, Moe, and whoever the hell else participating in that CSGO gambling crowd would be so disappointed in you. All the bad press that came out of this situation resulted in poor sales of Battlefront 2, at least by EA standards, and a loss of $3 billion in stock value, as well as the ongoing governmental investigation by many countries about loot boxes and gambling. I don't know where the situation will go from here, but this is a pretty big mark against EA, a company that already has 10,000 of those plastered across all over their fat head. I really hope that this kills loot boxes for good though, because I don't want to see the next Zelda game have the Master Sword be obtainable not through Link's sheer determination and bravery, but through a loot box you bought before you started the fucking game. Good fucking job, EA. If only the consumerists were still doing that worst company of the year thing, because I'm sure you'd be a shoo-in for it yet again. Although United Airlines may have beaten you there, much like their passengers. These things are so fucking good. My favorite candy. I just learned there are these other kind of candies called lemon drops. They look like little lemons. I think I might like them better. But I mean, this'll do. This will always do. That one's good. Unless you're allergic. Oh, right. Catherine. I actually didn't have anything to say. I just wanted to trick you into thinking I had something to say. So you'd still be watching. New person looks hot, I'd smash him.